Now that this piece has been rebuilt with any additional length that was required and finished off with a few rows of waste yarn to hold the stitches for us, now we can rejoin it to the other piece of knitting. First of all, we have to look at the row where it connects. So this is a middle white diamond with one blue stitch on top. The next row in the pattern would be blue, white, blue above that point stitched there. And I could join it up here and copy this row, or I can join it down here. So I have this row in my new piece of knitting. That's the row I need to sew, the one that goes blue, white, blue, and I need to connect it to this row here that goes white, white, white. So my first colour I need to use is my contrast colour, or the left hand colour, or the lower colour, depending on how you hold your yarns. And I've got a piece of yarn that's longer than usual for sewing with, but I'm going to start in the middle of the piece of yarn. I'm going to come out at the base of what will be the first blue stitch. So that stitch above that white one needs to be blue. And I've gone from this white stitch here, which when I go in the other direction will also need to be blue. I'm bringing half of my yarn through. So I've got yarn to go in the other direction. So this white stitch needs to connect to that stitch here with a blue one in between. And I'm using the ragged bits of the old knitting actually as waste yarn. I go back into this stitch to complete the first blue stitch. Now I have to decide where the next blue stitch is. So in fact I have to skip behind these three because the next row of these should be white, white, white. So I come out in this position. So I've skipped behind 3 stitches at the back of the work. And this is why waste yarn is helpful, because I don't have to graft all the stitches at once. So there's my first stitch in pattern. And this connects 1, 2, 3 stitches further on. It connects to the base of that white stitch. It is somewhat easier to do the majority colour first, but from a yarn dominance point of view, and if you want it to be exactly the same as the rest of the knitting, then you should technically do the contrast colour first, or the most dominant colour. So I've skipped behind the middle stitch, and there's the next one I need to attach to. And I keep going, just doing the blue stitches, and in fact I've got no more blue stitches before I get to that edge, so I'm just tucking it in at that edge for now. Then I'm going to turn the work round and go the other way. So the row I'm copying here goes blue, 3 whites, blue, white, blue. So I've got to turn this around, skip behind that one and attach it here. Back in there, now go behind 3 stitches and come out in that one. Then I've got to make sure I stay on the same row. If the idea of doing this upside down appalls you, you can always do the whole thing from the right edge across to the left. it just means you have to drag all the yarn through every stitch. So blue, skip one, so I'm skipping that one, sewing around the base of those 3 white stitches, back into the stitch it came from, and now I have to go behind 3 stitches, which actually takes me to the edge. So I have done all my contrast colour stitches, and it's starting to look as if it might work. Now I've got a length of the main colour yarn, and I'm going to begin in the middle. So the next stitch above this blue one should be a white one connecting to the middle one of those 3. And I'm going to take it in from this side so the yarn is in the right place when I do the far edge. Come out in the middle stitch. Leave enough yarn to go the other way. Go round the middle stitch of those 3 white ones. Back in, skip behind a blue one. Now you can really see the pattern starting to take shape again. Now I've got 3 white stitches in succession to do here, connecting first to a blue one, and we're following the waste yarn on the underside because I've got 3 stitches side by side. So when you graft, you're actually inserting a round of stitches. So here I'm actually connecting round 4 to round 6, and I'm sewing in the stitches of round 5. So grafting is a real row of knitting. So this is the 3rd one of my 3 side by side white stitches. Then I skip behind this blue one, and now it's connecting to that central white stitch. Skip behind the next blue one. I'm trying not to split any plies. And magically the pattern is reappearing. And I'm at the edge again, and I check the pattern. It looks like unbroken fair isle knitting, which is exactly what it is. Now to do the other edge. So I need to sew this one around the base of that blue stitch. I start in the middle because I don't have to drag so much yarn through. It's also easier to line up the patterns at the middle rather than the side. But you could work from one edge to the other, or do the majority of it right to left and just come back and finish the left edge. So I've just sewn in 3 white stitches, and now I need to skip behind the next blue one. Got 1 white stitch to pop in here. Skip behind the next blue one. That one needs to go around the base of a blue stitch and take it all the way to the edge.